It's generally gets a little bit sleepy. However, I'll try my best not to let you sleep during the course of time. Uh, Whatever slides I'm going to present here is most of the slides are from our course recently launched on NPTEL, Fundamentals of Electric Vehicle Technology and Economics. So there I have taken a particular chapter, battery pack, fundamentals of battery pack. And I think you had a session in the morning or up, I think mid-noon from Dr. Kannan. So we work together in one group there in IIT Madras. So with that introduction, I'll share my screen with you. Yes. Just a minute. Can you see my screen? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Yeah, so time to time somebody has to unmute and tell me, otherwise I'll not be able to get a feedback of the things what I'm doing. Okay, so okay, let's go ahead with the fundamentals of battery pack design. So when I'm talking about fundamentals of battery pack design, so what I'm talking here is basically the fundamentals of lithium ion battery pack design. Why lithium ion? I'll not go in details of that one. It's the most commonly used chemistry in today's electric vehicle condition. There are several other options available, but not very matured, like you say fuel cell. There are a lot other works are going on different other chemistries like sodium air. In some of the old vehicle, when you find that some of the old vehicle where you find this one, even lead acid battery is being also used, but now almost all the electric vehicles either lithium ion batteries are used or fuel cells are used. However, fuel cells has several disadvantages compared to lithium ion battery. I'll not talk all the things here. I'm just giving you a slight introduction why lithium ion battery we are going ahead. I see a lot of two sounds here in this WebEx. So if you have in mute, please be in mute. It's only me hearing, or everybody else is also hearing?
Actually, it is a beep sound of chat. Whenever somebody posts the chat, actually we are getting the beep sound.
Okay. Okay. So what does a battery pack needs? A robust electrical design, thermal management. The life should be sufficient so that we can extract the whatever investment we have done in the battery pack. Durability, it should be able to sustain all different types of condition, road loads, vibration. If it is a rainy day, so rain, it should not get failed during such times. Performance, performance is that if it has to give 100 kilometer to me, it should give me 100 kilometer in one charge. If it is supposed to give me 200 kilometers, it should give me 200 kilometers. If I need the higher current for acceleration, it should be able to give me. If I need uh, lower current it should be able to give me. The temperature should not go beyond the limit what we have set up. When we are drawing the current should not go beyond the limit which is harmful for the other system as well as for the battery. So these all parts comes into the performance. Now safety is very important parameter. In fact, if I have to rate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6 number would come as a first because that's what is always needed. Safety means lithium-ion batteries are susceptible of fires. In fact, I can say it's like a small bomb which you are running through. When you are running through with a small bomb, you need if you take proper care, it will give you the best out of that. It's similar to the nuclear energy. If you use it for proper safety things, it will give you the energy that can last for years. However, if you misuse it, it could also work as an atom bomb. So similar is the case with lithium-ion battery also, not as that level of nuclear energy, but to a great extent. So the safety becomes very important. And how does the safety is related? It's related to all parameters. Like if you see electrical design, thermal, performance, this is related with all the things. So it should be safe enough, or we should make it safe enough. A battery pack should be safe enough either by our entrance or by automatic means, so that it should not give any trouble during the running of the vehicle, or even if when vehicle is parked. Now, if you look upon battery pack development process, so here it's a battery pack. What are the things are needed? The very first important parameter becomes electrical design. Electrical design consists of your bus bar, number of cells in series and parallel. How do you stack together the cells? And finally, what should be the current in and out? Now, the next important parameter is thermal management. If you are not aware, I would just like to add a point here. Lithium-ion battery works well between a certain temperature limit. And that certain temperature limit is nothing but 15 degrees centigrade to 35 degrees centigrade. Beyond 35 degrees centigrade, you don't get the expected life. And then there are several safety issues also. Below 15 degrees centigrade, again, you don't get expected life, as well as there are several safety issues. So we always try to run to the battery packs between 15 to 35 degrees centigrade. However, it is not possible always. We'll discuss that in later part. So the thermal management becomes very important. The next becomes mechanical design. Now, when we assemble the cells and make a pack, what are the things we don't want? That when I have assembled and connected the cells through a bus bar or through wires, and because of the vibration, if cell is slipping with each other, slip means SLIP. So what will happen in that case? In that case, what happens? Bus bar can get broken or get bended or go to some other places. So in that way, what happens is, again, positive and negative terminals touches in such cases, because you have a bus bar there, not either a bus bar or wire connection or whatever. So what will happen? It can go to short circuit, and if it goes to short circuit, what will happen? Even in a house where we have a 5 ampere current sockets, even a small short circuit can lead to the fire. Now, the cells need to be protected from the external environment. When I talk about external environment, when a vehicle is running on the road, there could be a stone which goes under the tire and comes with a great velocity and hits the battery box. What will happen in that case? One of the cell will get punctured because of the force, the great force in a smaller area by the small stone. Now, this is the regular condition. In extreme condition, when the vehicle is running on the road and an accident takes place. When accident takes place, you always want to keep the battery, other than the passenger, you also want to keep the battery pack safe. Why battery pack safe? Because it has a huge energy, which could lead to the fire, which could lead to the instantaneous fire. Now, why other way mechanical design is required? Now, when you are putting a thermal management system there, so what do you want? You want a localized temperature to be in certain limit. You don't want the whole universe to be in that certain temperature limit. If that is the case, well and good. But generally, that is not possible. Your ambient condition could be something like 45 degrees centigrade. However, you have to make your battery to be running between 25 to 35 degrees centigrade. So how or 15 degree to 35 degrees centigrade. Okay, how can you isolate environment to the battery? So that again you require a mechanical design. So this all parts comes as a part of mechanical design. The last most important is battery management system. So battery management system, why do you require a battery management system? Battery management system basically keeps everything within the safe limit. And that is why battery management system is there. The most important function of a battery management system, BMS, is the protection, safety and protection. And after that, several other things. It can give you the information when the battery need to be replaced. It will give you information when battery need to be repaired. It will give you the information what it is doing now. What would be the range? So these all the things come from the battery management system, which generally consists of electronic hardware and then top up with the software. Now let's go ahead with the to find out what are the importance of the various design what we have talked now. So electrical design, the capacity of battery, voltage and current, that becomes a part of electrical design. Unless you don't know what is the capacity, voltage and current you require to run the vehicle, you cannot design. Now, voltage limit, like for and three-wheelers, generally we go for low voltages. So it's something like 48 volts, 60 volts, 72 volts, or 96 volts, like that way. So any DC voltage below 120 volt is considered as a safe to the human, not to all, but at most of the people it is considered as a safe voltage. So that is known as low voltage. Any voltage beyond 120 volt DC is not safe to the human. In alternating current, when we are talking about alternating current, what happens when you touch, you always have a chance to remove your hand because of alternating in nature. However, in DC, that is not possible. Once you get a shock, it's very difficult to come out from that one. So any voltage, when we talk about 120 volt DC plus, that becomes the case of high voltage. However, unless you don't go for higher voltage, you cannot run the higher capacity vehicles like high-end four-wheelers, trucks, buses, because when you talk about capacity is nothing but voltage into current. So unless your voltage is going to be higher, your current, if your voltage is higher, then only you can maintain the small current. We'll go why current, we'll go slightly in details in later part why current becomes important. So the high voltage isolation is required. So that means even if in some time, because of some reason, if it is touching a body part which is generally made up of steel and highly conductive, batteries would be able to detect that and isolate itself. A short circuit scenario, if because of any reason, because of the motor winding problem or because of some problem inside the battery pack, if there is a short circuit, then in such situation, I can hear something. So in short circuit scenarios, when we are talking about short circuit, so in such cases, how the battery protect itself in going into the flame, that becomes important. And at the end, nothing but efficient power delivery. Power delivery is nothing but whatever is demand requested by the vehicle, means I mean mostly by motors and auxiliary system, it should be able to deliver that efficiently without losing the capacity or energy somewhere here and there. Now let's go about thermal design. What does it do? What is the importance of thermal design? It's improve the pack efficiency. When I talk about pack efficiency, what does that mean? Pack efficiency means it can run for longer life. It can give you energy without much problem. It can give you energy up to 99% of what is stored in that one. If my thermal design is not proper, it may not be able to give you more than 90% or 80% or 60% or 50%. The reason is that as soon as temperature increases, your BMS puts several other restrictions not to give the energy, as well as the chemistry. When we talk about the chemistry also does not, a cell chemistry does not allow to take out more than that particular energy. So a proper thermal design improves the pack efficiency. It mitigates thermal accident. Thermal accident, you might have heard something known as thermal runaway. It won't allow the cells or battery pack to reach to that level where the such thermal accidents can take place. Before that itself, it will shut down, or it will make the battery pack continuously running between a temperature which is more suitable to the temperature. Now, as soon as you're running a battery pack within the temperature limit of the cell, in most of the cases, it is 15 to 35 degrees C. Your cell life as well as pack life increases. So let's assume a pack which is not thermally managed properly will give you 200 cycles, and if you manage this properly, if your thermal design is robust, if your thermal design is optimum, it can give you up to 1000 cycles. So you understand that a pack life can be increased 4 times, 5 times, 3 times based upon a proper thermal design. And what is the most costly item in a pack is basically cells. And that's where you would like to make it working more. Now let's go for mechanical design. What is the importance of mechanical design? Mechanical design, it's a safe structure for extreme condition. If you look upon extreme condition is what? There is a heavy flooding because of rain, my car should work. If there is accident and my car has toppled, still my battery pack should be safe. Now, the second part which comes is cost, productivity, and reliability. When I say cost, generally in a battery pack, the cell cost almost, if cell cost you 100 rupees, the total pack would should not go more than 130 or 140 or 150 rupees for higher capacity packs like 10 kilowatt, 15 kilowatt hour, or 20 kilowatt hour pack. However, for one kilowatt hour pack, that's generally not possible. So you have to go for 2x times of the cost of the cell. The productivity, it should give you maximum cycles, and reliability during those 1000 cycles or during those 500 cycles, which is what is meant for the battery. It should give you reliably the power or the capacity to your vehicle. Now, we'll go in some more when we'll go ahead, we'll see that how the battery packs are assembled and other things. But then we stack the cells together, and then we laser weld or ultrasonic welding and all those things we do. So the ease of assembly of the battery pack at individual level, as well as the ease of assembly of the pack into the vehicle. And other than that, it should be easily serviceable. That's what a mechanical design should take care. It should look good, compact, and lightweight, because every kg additional weight to the vehicle will drop your range. BMS design, its work is maintain cells or pack operational limits. When I say operational limit, what does it mean? That means if my pack is designed for 100 ampere current, it should not, as soon as somebody or something want to draw more than 100 ampere current, it should restrict to 100 ampere current, or it should cut off. If my temperature is going beyond my set limit of 45 degree or 50 degree or 35 degree or 55 degree, it should reduce the current, or it should cut off the pack. prevent safety concerning events, any of the safety concerning events, like if it is my temperature is going high or my current is going high, or if there is a short circuit, or if there is anything you can think of, it should be able to isolate and cut off the battery pack. Now, it should be able to control the thermal system. We don't want additional software or hardware to run the thermal system. So that thermal system can be run from the directly battery management system. So as soon as my temperature is going beyond, let's start thermal system. As soon as it is within the control, let's reduce the RPM of the compressor so that my less flow of refrigerant would also be able to make the pack contribute. The most important part of the BMS, other than safety and protection, comes as a communication and diagnostics. Communication, it should be able to tell to the vehicle control unit or ECU, electronic control unit, that this much range is only available now, or you have already depleted half of your energy while running. The next charger is available at that place. So this is all and diagnostic. If there is any fault, it should keep on registering those faults and keep on storing that. And if there is any life threatening or any safety concerning events, it should allow the drivers or owners or manufacturers to know that in advance. The stages of battery pack design, how does that happen? So the first thing what happens is cell configuration. Cell is being cell configuration. So cell can be assembled either in series or parallel or both together. We see it's MPNS theory. So M parallel N series. I'll come back to this again on MPNS theory. Then the next part comes the structure. What structure does mean? So what I have done basically here is I have converted into three parts: mechanical, electrical, and thermal. So a structure, the cover plate, end plate, tie rod, cell holder, base plate, all these are part of a structure. So bus bar, wiring, harness, fuse, and plug, these all are part of a structure, but of electrical structure. Now cooling jacket, safety valve, thermistor, etc. is a part of structure, but for thermal structure. A similar way, for safety, what are the things required? Vibration, shock, abuse, crash, this all becomes a mechanical domain expertise. The short circuit and overcharge, over discharge becomes electrical. Thermal and thermal management, so this becomes again for thermal. Now controls, vibration control and hardware overnet, that becomes part of mechanical. So if vibration is going beyond some particular limit, how can we set up the battery pack? Cell monitoring and BMS, if there is any problem in cell or in the pack level, if it is coming, can we stop that? Now, the last part becomes the application. When I talk about application, it's basically interface and telemetry. Interface means how the battery is getting connected with the motor and auxiliary system, how the battery is getting connected with the rest of the system, because there would be several systems which require several voltages at. Like if you see the AC compressor, that requires a different voltage than what traction motor would require. If you see the steering motors, steering pump, that requires some different voltage. If you look upon the wipers, that may be working at some. So that's basically interface. That's how the getting interface with the other systems other than the traction motor. The main voltage requirement comes from the traction motor. However, other auxiliary system may not be working at the same voltage level of traction motor. Now, second one, telemetry, how it is communicating within the system of the vehicle and how it is communicating with the outside. Because we have an advantage in electric vehicle, we can communicate because everything is basically electrical and software based, electronics and software based. So it can communicate to the fleet owner, it can communicate to the owner, it can communicate to the service station, it can communicate to the OEM at various level, at various data. Now, let's go back to the MPNS theory. I'm talking about MPNS theory. So what we work is the cell in lithium ion, it's cell chemistry and MC. There are different cell chemistries available like LFP, LTO, and other. When you talk about the cell chemistry, why I'm talking about the cell chemistry here, because that is what gives you a voltage. So if you talk about NMC chemistry, the nominal voltage would be around 3.7 volt for a cell, which is the most primitive unit for a battery pack. And then the maximum voltage can go up to 4.2 to 4.3 volt. The minimum voltage can go up to 2.1 volt to, sorry, 3.1 to 2.9, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 volt approximately. So the voltage of the cell changes as it charges and discharges. So we'll not go deep into that. Let's consider as a nominal voltage. So nominal voltage of NMC chemistry cell is 3.7 volt. When I say 3.7 volt, so that means one cell will give you 3.7 volt. Now let's suppose you require 48 volt. What you'll do? You require a 48 volt. What you'll do? How does the voltage comes? If somebody want to answer, they can unmute and answer. It has to be two-way communication.
You can
I'm really sorry, unable to hear you.
You can add the cells in series.
We can add the cells in the series, correct? Yeah. So when we add up the cells in series, that gives voltage. So if I require a 48 volt battery, that means 48 by 3.7. So this come either 14 or 13, both nearby to that. So either I have to add 14 cells in series and 13 cells or 13 cells in series. So let's take one number, 13. Let's take 13. So 13 series. Now there is another parameter which is known as AH, ampere hour, or with current. So if there is a current requirement, if the current requirement is 100 ampere and my each cell is let's suppose 10 Ah, I need to make a battery of 100 Ah. What should I do? Anybody? My one cell is 10 Ah, 3.7 volt. What I'm going to make now is a 48 volt 100 Ah battery. So for 48 volt, what I'll do, that's I'll make cells in 13 number of cells will come in series. So we say 13S. How do we make 100 Ah? Anyone? If no, you can say no so that I can move to the next to explain this. Are you people able to hear me? Okay. So when we have to go for the current capacity, we can say it's a current capacity. So when we go for current capacity, then what we do, we make the things in parallel. So that means I need to make the 10 cells in the parallel, because 100 Ah and each cell is 10 Ah, so that becomes 10 numbers of cells in parallel. So if I have to make a 100 Ah 48 volt battery pack, my configuration would be 10P and 13S. As soon as I'm saying 10P 13S, this is the configuration. Now you would have observed here that's why I have put parallel first and second. So generally when we go for series first and parallel second, like I have made a 48 volt pack of 10 Ah, I can go 10 numbers in parallel. Instead of that, what I'm trying to do here is I'm going for 3.7 volt into 100 Ah and then I'm going in series. So this has several benefits over other one. Something known as cell balancing, self-cell balancing. Those things does not happen in the first configuration when I say 10P 13S. I can also say it's 13S 10P, but then what I'll do, I'll make everything in the series first, and then I'll go for parallel. So that means I'll 48 volt to one series, and then I'll go for parallel. But in that case, what happens? The self balancing and other issues pop up, and that degrades the cell life. That's what our experience is. So we always prefer to go with the parallel first, series second, and that is why it is written MPNS theory. The number of parallel first and series second. However, both are linked to each other. Now, what would be the capacity of the pack? When I say capacity of the pack, then it becomes 100 Ah into 48 volt. So that becomes 4.8 kilowatt hour. So when I say the capacity is always in kilowatt hour. Ah is confusing term. Ah is not a capacity. Ah is a confusing term. If you are running on the same voltage everything, okay, Ah you can use. But however, Ah is, when I say about lead acid battery, generally we were working with the 12 volt. So that's why we are always saying 35 Ah, 40 Ah, 55 Ah, 100 Ah, 120 Ah, 150 Ah, like that. However, in electric vehicle application, when we talk about lithium-ion battery application, so this becomes approximately 10p 13s. When I'm saying 10p 13s, that becomes the total capacity 100 Ah at 48 volt, and the total capacity becomes 4.8 kilowatt hour. When we were working on that lead acid battery, so generally we were working on the 12 volt, and that's where we were saying 35 Ah, 40 Ah, 55 Ah, or 100 Ah. Voltage was almost constant every time we say 12 volt. But in the case of electric vehicle, when we talk about electric vehicle, it's not the case. What happens here? The battery could be 48 volt, battery could be 60 volt, battery could be 72 volt, battery could be 96 volt, battery could be 350 volt, battery could be 680 volt, battery could be 700 volt, battery could be 800 volt, battery could be 1200 volt. So unless we don't specify voltage and the Ah, it's not a very good way of saying the capacity. So when we say capacity, we always say in kilowatt hour, and kilowatt hour is nothing but Ah multiplied by voltage. Okay, let's move to the next slide. If you wanted to say somewhere that I'm going a little bit fast, you can stop me. I may cover a little bit less, but that's okay. What is important is understanding. So the major component of a battery pack, when we talk about major component of the battery pack, let's see what are the major component of the battery pack. The first important component of a battery pack is battery cells. That is what we were putting that MPNS theory. Now the second is that generally these batteries, these cells, the outer surface would be either at positive terminal or a negative terminal. And when we are putting in series and parallel, we need to insulate that one. So insulate electrical current going from one cell to other cell. So that's where we put in insulation pads. Now there's a base plate. What is work of this base plate is to support the weight of the battery, as well as support the prevent the external forces to reach to the battery. Side strip is used for providing some particular pressure to the cell. Why this pressure is important? It increases the cell life. Otherwise, what happens during the charging and discharging? Your cell will get bulged. And if once it is bulged, it loses its capacity to the great extent. We don't want cell to be bulged. For that, we need to provide the manufacturer recommended pressure. And this side strip helps in that. What exerts the pressure is basically this end plates. Now, to manage it thermally, we also require a cold plate or a similar arrangement in the battery pack. Then to move current, we require, sorry, this bus bar holder is where we place the bus bar connected with the cell. Then there is a bus bar there. So this carries currents in the battery pack during the series and thermistor, series and parallel connection. So thermistor and voltage sensor. So thermistor is meant for measuring the temperature during its operation, and the voltage sensor is meant to at what voltage my cells are. So every parallel configuration, each pack, like when we have put 13S, so we need 13 voltage sensor. Thermistor depends upon the simulation test results, how many we wanted to put there. Then wiring harness, we say how the cells are connected with each other, how it is going to connect with the interface like motor or something, or auxiliary system. BMS is what I discussed earlier. That would be also a part of the battery pack. This controls all safety aspects, as well as it's basically a brain of the battery pack. The outer casing to save from the environmental condition or external forces, the whole battery pack, including bus bar, cell, BMS, and all the things together. So here all the things are together here. Any question till now?
No, sir.
No? If there is no question, so I think you have not understood anything till now. If there are questions, then I can, because when I was talking about 100Ah and nobody was asking anything, because we have a past experience that is most confusing area for the people. Shall I move?
Excuse me, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Ramchandra.
Yeah. Sir, some like we have a battery capacity like in volts and Ah. Some batteries are rated like 1C, 2C, like 5C, 10C. That's also there in the battery.
No, that's a cell characteristic. So when I say 1C means it's the rated capacity. When I'm saying 100Ah, when
Yes,
I
sir.
say this battery is 100Ah, that means 1C capacity means it can give you 100 ampere current continuously for 1 hour.
Okay, sir.
Okay. If I say 2C, that means it can give you 200 ampere current for 30 minutes.
Okay.
So 1C means what the maximum current you can take out from the battery pack in 1 hour.
Okay.
2C means
So,
whatever the maximum
hour.
current you can take. 1C means whatever the maximum current you can take out from the battery pack in 1 hour, continuous.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. It's clear
Okay.
now.
When I say 2C, that means that same battery pack will give you only 30 minutes, double the current. That means 200 ampere in 30 minutes. When I say 5C, that means it will give you 500 ampere current for 12 minutes. And when I say current rating, that becomes very important because everything else has to be designed in that way. My bus bar should be able to take that much of current. My cell should be able to give you that much of current. So that's another way of rating. That's another way of energy rating, I can say. So once it does not give you anything regarding what the energy available in the battery pack. It simply says you can take the maximum current of that battery pack for that 1 hour. When I say 100Ah, so I also it's a 1C 100 ampere you can take for 1 hour. Okay.
Yes, sir. All clear, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Shall I move next? Okay. When I talked about 4 design, mechanical, thermal, electrical, and BMS. So we'll go one by one quickly on that because of time constraint of 1.5 hours, it would not be possible. So please understand, I'm leaving a lot of things on the cell side, cell chemistry, cell these things, which you can always read. These are the things you generally won't find at much of the places. So what are the important consideration? Once again, what material we need to get? Base plate design for individual cells accommodation. What we have put on the right side is to battery pack. Cell movement constraint and control. How can we control the cell and how can we control it so that other events like short circuit, breaking of my bus bar or my cell holder or my cell not get damaged. Now, uniform pressure over cell surfaces. Why that becomes important? Because otherwise you lose the cell life. Now, material cost optimization. You can have several materials, so you need to utilize optimum cost. You need to utilize a material which should have an optimum cost. It can give you the, if you require a strength, the greatest strength or required strength with the least possible cost. Because cost becomes very important factor in the battery pack. The outer case design for overall protection. So like at many packs, you don't want water should go or even air should go. What happens if it goes inside? It will create oxide layer. When water goes, it becomes conductive. So there would be a sort of scenario. If dust goes, it will create an oxide layer or it will create a greasy layers on the current path. So because of that, your contact resistance will increase. So there are IP ratings, ingress protection rating. So most of the time you would have to go for IP65, IP67. So that means nothing can go inside, nothing can come, especially water, dust, and all those things. Now, bus bar designing. That's where you have to extra consider that's what bus bar you should be using. Packaging constraints. Now, if you see in the first, if you see the two pictures, now if you see the picture, it's a quite flat. If you see the second picture, so up to this it has a 3 levels. This first level, if you consider the height, this is the second level, and this is, so this comes because of the vehicle architecture. So if I do have a space like this way, I need to arrange my cells in series and parallel in that way so that I can have maximum capacity within that pack, or maximum cell can be packed in that one. So that becomes a packaging constraint. Now let's go ahead connecting cells together. So this is one of the prismatic cells what I have shown you. This cells we get from the supplier, either from US or China or Switzerland or Korea. India we don't have much right now. So it will have two terminals, one positive and one negative. And when we say prismatic alliance cell, we use NMC chemistry. So for that, generally the voltage will be 3.65 volt. When I say voltage, it's a nominal voltage. So 3.65 volt, current would be 15 Ah, length would be 17 mm. So all those things are there now. Now, if I have to make 120, now what is the current capacity of this battery pack is 15 Ah. Now, if I have to make 120 Ah battery pack, what should I do? How many parallels? With the parallels, how many parallels? So I have to put 8 numbers in 8 number of cells in the parallel. When I say parallel means positive to positive, 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 all positive get connected together, or get connected together. In series, it's just get positive to negative, negative to positive, positive to negative. That's how it gets connected. So when I say 120 Ah, that becomes capacity of the battery 120 Ah. Now, what other things we require? A voltage. So for voltage, what I have to do? If I have to get a 29.2 volts, what I have to do? 8 cells in series. So we see it's 1 parallel, 8 series here. Here, parallel, 1 series. In the first picture, it's 8 parallel, 1 series. In second picture, it's 1 parallel, 8 series. So here, I get the voltage 29.2 volt. However, my capacity is 15 Ah. What is here? I have a capacity of 120 Ah, but the voltage is 3.6. But if you talk about the volt pack capacity, both are same. 120H into 3.7, here it is 29.2 into 15. That would be watt hour. So capacity is same. However, the configuration is entirely different. So it's not only the capacity, you have to also look upon what is the current requirement, what is the voltage requirement. Based upon that, capacity, current, and voltage. These three things together define the battery pack capacity. Now, let's suppose if we have to make a 60 volt battery pack, what we will do in that case? How do you bring that? So I assume here that you already know what is the energy you require to move the vehicle. So here, what if I have to make a 60 volt battery pack? What I'll do? 60 volt battery pack and 30Ah battery, 30Ah 60 volt battery pack from the same cell. What I'll do? I'll make 2P. That will give me 30Ah. This 2P, and then 16 numbers of this 2P configuration I'll put in series. Now, because of the space requirement, I may have to go for 2 rows. So each row is consists of 2P, 8S, and then the next row also consists of 2P and 8S, and then that again I'll connect it into the series. So I'll get the 60 volt 30Ah battery pack. Now, what I have calculated here? I have calculated here cell cost, cell weight, the dimensions, and all those things. So now, if I have 272 into 2 mm in this direction, and I have only 132.8 by 2 in this direction, what I'll go? I'll go for only 1 row here in that case. I'll not go for 2 rows. Height, I can't do much on that. But if let's suppose I have less height and more width, what I'll do? I'll not stack the cells in this way. I'll put it in perpendicular, another, if I rotate it by 90 degrees in that direction, so that I can reduce the height. So these all the things are engineering design when we start doing that one. Now, why weight is required? Because my base plate design has to be such a way that it can take care of this load, as well as I have to add some more forces which can come externally during the vehicle running. So what I'm trying to show you in this, what are the forces acting on that one? So there is a side strip. Side strip, it's a tension force because of the 2 end plates. Now on the end plate, it's basically a bending force. The cell may try to bulge out, which will create a force over that one. Base plate, what would be that bending, again bending force because of the because of the weight of the cell, it will create a bending force on the base plate. Now, what would be on welded joint? When I say bus bar, that basically is welded on the terminals. So that would give you, if cell has a slight tendency of movement, it will give you shear force on the welding on the welded joint. So what are the fundamental forces? I'll not talk much about on this slide. It's a compression, tension, shear, torsion, and bending. What we have talked in there is bending, tension, compression, and during the vehicle operation, there is a possibility of torsion also. There is we have already talked about shear force, what is acting there. And it's a very simple, you have to find out a stress-strain relationship. And in mechanical, those whoever are from the mechanical background, even for the electrical and other people, it would be easy. There are already designed data book. In that, all the types of formulation is already available. If it is a flat plate, concentrated load, or expanded load, or point load, or overhanging beam load, that type of thing, you just take those formulas and design all this system. What's supposed to be your thickness of this bending plate, side plate, the bottom plate or base plate, what should be the thickness of this, width of this, and all the things you can. What you need to consider, how much allowances you are going to give it. That means if this is going to be expanded by 1 mm, that is what you can give to constrain these cells together. Now, how much bending is required? It's 1 mm is sufficient. Deflection, we say deflection. Or what is required? 1 mm is, can we go beyond 1 mm? No, may not be no. May 2 mm? No. Or 0.5 mm? Yes, we can. So with that constraints, you can design this plate thickness, plate dimensions and all those things together. So I'm not going deep on that. The next thing what you have to worry about is vibration analysis, because there are several, when vehicle is running, so it gets several types of vibration. So that vibration analysis has to be taken care. So different types of vibration analysis like non-deterministic, deterministic, and that harmonic, transient, spectral, random. So these are vibration analysis methods, and this transient and the spectrum we use in SOC analysis method. SOC analysis method is nothing but it's let's suppose if you are holding the battery and you're dropping it from some height, it should not impact running up your battery pack, because that could be like when we are running on the road, and then suddenly a speed breaker comes and we don't see what happens. Our vehicle flies for some almost half meter up and then it's dropped. So in such cases also my battery should not get damaged. So that's become SOC analysis or drop test, that type of thing. So for that, what you require is different varieties of vibration analysis you need to perform, and that can be done both through simulation as well as with the experiment. And then it's a good practice to match both the things together. So in future, you don't have to do much experiments on that. Different test standards. What we are talking about is harmonic test in the AIS-04. However, now AIS-04 has been replaced by AIS-156. SOC abuse, random vibration test. So these are the test we vibration test we do on the battery pack. And there is a term I would like to introduce is homologation. So homologation is an agency which sets a minimum criteria that my battery or my vehicle should pass in all those categories. So these all the standards what I am showing about is about a homologation standards. Now let's summarize mechanical design. Mechanical design of a battery pack lead to safe and cost-effective structural elements that are lightweight and highly reliable. What are the important factors we need to look upon? Material selection, loading conditions, bus bar and other casing development, bus bar and end plates. There is a very good equation, Kirchhoff equation, which you can use for the whole mechanical. A lot of vibration things also comes from that only Kirchhoff equation. Free and force vibration, the general other things what you would like to test on the vibration side. So let's go back to the thermal design. Any question till now?
No, sir. You can continue.
Thank you. So thermal design. So what happens? There is something known as thermal runaway. So when it comes in series, however, that series is milliseconds level. So before a cell goes into the fire, what happens? The expandable gas comes out from the cell. If we are able to identify that, we may be able to prevent the thermal runaway. Thermal runaway is nothing but battery blast. Okay, how can we do that? Do we have some sensors which can detect that one, or we don't allow the cell to reach to that level? So why the thermal management is important? So temperature of packs directly impacts electrochemical reaction, efficiency of the pack, charge acceptance. When I say charge acceptance means charging of the battery. It will not take much charge if it is higher or very low temperature. Power and energy availability. Let's suppose if my cell has reached to 60 degrees, my BMS will not allow to take the full current from that one, because the rate of change of temperature would be very fast, which would lead to the thermal incidents like thermal runaway. Safety and reliability. If my battery pack is always within some particular temperature, I can be assured of safe operation of the battery pack. Life and life cycle cost. So thermal management, a good thermal management helps the battery to give you much better return in terms of its life. Cycle life means how many times you can charge and discharge. Calendar life means how many years you can use in both. What are the required functions of a thermal design? It should be compact, lightweight, easily packageable, reliable, serviceable, low cost, low parasitic power losses. it should not take out most of the energy of the battery pack, because again this thermal management system would run from the energy from the battery pack itself. So optimal temperature range, if I need to maintain the temperature between 15 to 35, I would certainly in hot environment, warm environment we'll always try to go 35, near 35. In cold environment we'll always try to go around 15 degrees, so that my environmental losses become minimum. So that's what optimum temperature range it should be able to make. A small temperature variation within the pack. When I say within the pack, that means when I've shown you earlier picture, from first cell to last cell, I should not have a huge temperature gradient. It should be minimum. Like if my first pack is 35 degrees, my last cell should be in that pack at 35, or at the center cell should also be at the 35. However, what happens at the center cell, you have a very less space to dissipate the heat. So you need to give more cooling capacity at the center location. So what I mean to say here, the temperature variation within the cells in the pack should be minimum. What happens at high temperature? Primary concerns like thermal runaway and non-uniform aging effect. Like if my one cell in the pack is at 35 degrees, it is working, and another is working at 50 degrees. So I have a temperature differential because of that. And when there is a temperature differential, my 35 degree centigrade cell could age faster than the 15 degree centigrade cell. We don't know exactly, but that could be a reason. So non-uniform aging effect also we have to minimize. When cooling is required during hot environment, moderate to large current demand and fast charging. Now, when I'm saying moderate to large current demand, we'll come back to that. And the fast charging is again, we are putting more current to the battery. That's how the fast charging happens. At lower temperature, what are the problems? If my temperature is 0 degrees centigrade or 5 degrees centigrade or 7 degrees centigrade or 10 degrees centigrade, what happens? It's a performance. It won't be able to give you the required performance, and damage due to charging too fast. You need to charge very slowly in that cases. So heating is required in such cases if there is a cold environment, charging and discharging. Now, from where the heat comes? The simple rule applies is square R. R is the internal resistance of the battery pack, of individual cells, and the current what you are taking off. You can say C rate, 0.5C, 1C, 2C, 3C, 4C, whatever. So what you see here, the heat, it's a square of the current, and it's a proportional to the square of the current and proportional to the resistance of the internal resistance of the cell. We say it's a joule heating. This is what generates the heat inside the battery pack, and this happens both time when you're charging and when you're discharging. So if my internal resistance is as low as 10 milliohm or 5 milliohm, but my current is 100 ampere, so how much it becomes? 100 into 100 into 10 by 1000. It's still 10 watt, and 10 watt in such a smaller pack is huge. If it keeps on accumulating, it will keep on increasing the temperature. So this is a very first estimate. This allows us to estimate the heat of battery pack thermal management. Further, this internal resistance is not a constant one. It's on changing depending upon the temperature, depth of discharge, open circuit voltage, busbar temperatures, BMS temperatures. It keeps on changing. But if I have to do a first-hand calculation, I'll always do with the current square into internal resistance. So one example here I have put referring to previous pack configuration where we have put 215S, nominal capacity 15Ah, nominal voltage 3.65 volt, internal impedance. Internal impedance is nothing but internal resistance, that is 10 milliohm. Generally, this 10 comes in at the end of life of the battery pack of the cell. Generally, it would be for placement would be around 5 milliohm if it is NMC chemistry. If the module is discharged from 100% to 20% SOC, SOC is nothing but a state of the charge at 1C. I have here 1C. When I say 1C and when I say 2P, so this becomes 30 ampere current we are taking continuously. Calculate the heat generated energy to the module and compare energy lost to the total module energy. So what you see here, current capacity at the one rate 1C. For if I take each individual cell, then it becomes 15 ampere. If I take 2P configuration, then it becomes 13 ampere. What we are considering here is each level. It becomes 15 ampere. Cell internal resistance, this one heat generation, how much for each cell it becomes? 2.25 watt. So how many cells are there? So 16 into 2, we have total 32 numbers of cells. So the total heat generation is 72 watt at 1C itself. If I go for 2C, it becomes 4 times of that. If I go for 0.5C, it becomes 1/4 of this. So 100 to 20%, what it becomes? At 1C, it should take 3,600 seconds for complete discharge from 100 to 0%. So 100 to 20% to 880. It's all our linear interpolation we have considered here. Heat energy lost is 6.848 kilojoule. Total heat loss by the pack is 207.36 kilojoule. What is the total pack energy? Is 5045.76 kilojoule. So how much we are losing from the heat? 4.1%. So if my battery pack is giving 100 kilometer range, I would be able to give you only 96 or 95 kilometer because of the heat loss. So that's why it becomes very important thermal management. How can we reduce? We can reduce by lower discharge rate. That means we don't accelerate too fast, we don't deaccelerate too fast. In that case, we can run for more kilometers. Lower internal resistance. We select a battery pack or we select a cell which has a lower internal resistance. Let's go next to the modes of thermal management. So basically there are two modes, active and passive. So active, what we say, if we cool through air cooling, liquid cooling, refrigerant or hybrid. And the passive is nothing but the use of like phase change material or embedded micro channel. It does not require any energy to be taken from the battery to maintain. However, both has its own limitations. For a smaller pack, for 2-wheeler packs or 3-wheeler packs, we generally go for passive thermal management, and for 4-wheelers, where our pack capacity becomes 10 kilowatt hour and more, we go for active cooling system. Materials and design. What are the things you need to look upon? Coefficient of thermal expansion, thermal a specific heat capacity, thermal diffusivity. These are the material properties we'll look upon, because each one of this impacts the thermal design. If a battery pack is going to be used in the cold country like Europe, then what I require is a more insulating properties. However, if it has to go work in Chennai, I would require more conductive properties. So some of the things, what are the things we are using for thermal design or battery pack design? So caching, it's basically ABS or CFRP. The cell holder, we generally use ABS. Bus bars, generally we use copper or aluminum. Cold plate, we use aluminum, copper embedded tubes. Now, for thermal design, a summary. A good thermal design increases efficiency, longer life, accident prevention and mitigation. The more importantly, a smaller pack, we should predominantly use the active system, because active system would reduce the energy content available for driving much lower. So if I try to provide the active cooling system for a 2-wheeler battery pack, my range instead of 100 down to 30, because 70% of that thing will be used by thermal management system. Whenever it's not possible to use the passive thermal management system, we go for active thermal system, but again we look upon several things like simpler construction, robustness, lowest parasitic power consumption, because all the power, all the energy comes from the battery pack, and each drop of energy you are taking out not for running is going to reduce your mileage and should be easily serviceable. What are the things we have to worry about? In the material, thermal properties, mechanical stability, and the cost. Let's go back to electrical design of a battery pack. What has to be done? The resistance, as you have seen, that internal resistance of 10 milliohm has led to have a thermal management system. So any resistance in a battery pack has to be minimized. So least resistance, if there are multiple paths, so all the paths have the similar or same resistance. What happens as flow always go through the least resistance path, it will heat up that part, other parts it will not go through that. So if current has to be taken in from the multiple path, we need to maintain the resistance of multiple paths same. Otherwise, what happens? The current will flow mostly from the least resistance path, and all the heat will get generated there, and that would lead to melting or degradation of that particular path. Rest of the path would be unaffected because there is no current going through that. So temperature rise due to the current flow. As you know, I square R. There R you cannot make 0, so there would be certainly some R. You can make it lowest possible. So because of that, there is a temperature rise that we need to worry about. Short circuit current stresses and protection. And during the short circuit, a huge amount of current flows. And because of that, metal gets melted. It starts burning. So that we have to worry about. So our bus bar design in such a way that even in short circuit, it should be able to withstand. Now EMI, electromagnetic noise suppression, that has to be taken care. Otherwise, it will hinder with the other electronic equipments into the vehicle. Different types of joining methods and performances, and its performance we need to check. Why? What becomes most important in electrical design is bus bar. So a improperly bus bar design can impair system operation. It will not give you the sufficient current when you require, or it will heat up. Once it is heated up, so you are losing the energy. That would result in poor efficiency. Overheat self and nearby components. Not only heat by self, it will heat the cell also. It will heat the other components nearby. Safety and reliability issue. If that is not controlled, what will happen? If the heat keeps on coming continuously, it will melt that bus bar. Once melted, you cannot take out any current, and there is a possibility that drop, the melted material drop, can go to somewhere else, and it can lead to a short circuit. Because of that, what happens? There is a structural damage. Now you have to completely open the battery pack, you have to repair, and then only you can use it. So for bus bar design, what are the things we require? Conductor material selection, design criteria, specific consideration for AC, short circuit scenarios, all those things we have to look upon. I'm not going details in that. The very important thing in the whole battery pack is the contact resistance. And the contact resistance is something which we can avoid by proper assembly or proper material selection. What I'm keep on stressing on this point, so that if you are unable to maintain the resistance at the least possible value, you are going to be in great trouble, because the current requirement in the battery packs are huge, and that leads to the very high thermal energy dissipated. So we always try to keep the resistance, and the contact resistance is something which can avoid by cleaning the surface properly before assembling, or not allowing anything to go inside to form an oxide. That's a voltage drop. If the because of the contact resistance, what will happen? You'll drop some voltages there, and that may hinder the functioning of your electronics, or even current capacity going outside, which anyway will be there because of the cell at the lower SOC, means the state of charge will have lower voltage, but that should not mean this voltage drop should not add further on to that. The current equalization. If I have a multiple path for current, so since currents are going to be in huge quantity, like 100 ampere, 200 ampere, 250 ampere, I cannot have a single wire which can take that current. So I'll be putting multiple strands of wire. So each strand of the wire should have the same resistance. That is what current equalization means, so that the current can flow equally in all the paths. If it is flowing in one wire more, then what happens? That part would get more heated up and may lead to the accident, may lead to the failure of that part. The bus bar joining method, that's what we have to look on. Do we need to go for the laser welding, or we have to go for ultrasonic welding or something else? So for any design criteria, what for bus bar designing, what you have to do? You have to limit the temperature. So for that, what you do? Conductor potential drop, what is acceptable? That is current flowing path, IR. Conductor resistance, it's nothing but electrical resistivity into the conductor length by conductor cross section. Again, resistivity is a function of temperature. Let's not go to that deep initially. Initially, we'll consider one particular temperature and we'll consider resistivity as the independent of the temperature. The current carrying capacity of bus bar is limited by its maximum acceptable temperature. Like my bus bar can go up to 55 degree temperature only. So that, or ambient plus 10 degree or ambient plus 20 degree. So I square RD is nothing but heat, joule heat, and S is a safe factor. That should be less than or equal to the convective heat transfer from the bus bar. And what is the convective heat transfer? The T bus bar is what we are thinking that my bus bar temperature should be this. The T ambient is ambient condition at that place. H is heat transfer coefficient. A is the area of cross section. So once all this matches, from that, so you know I, you know R, you know S, you know H also, you also know T ambient. What you don't know is T bus bar. So you can get the T bus bar from that. And then if T bus bar is coming more than your design criteria, what you have to do? You have to increase the surface area here. And surface area means I need to increase the width of the bus bar. That is what it means. Okay. An example here, a bus bar should be designed for a maximum resistance of 10 to the power minus 4 ohm. The length of bus bar is constant to 6 cm. Assuming the bus bar can go up to the temperature of 50 degrees centigrade. Find the cross section of the bus bar. Material property is copper. We have selected. Have taken as a copper. So first you need to find resistivity at 50 degrees centigrade. Then resistance of copper bus bar R, it's already given. This is what is our design criteria. If the bus bar is 5 mm wide, this is what I can find out from the my packaging constant. What bus bar width can be. So the thickness is coming 2.2 mm. Now, a thickness of 2.2 mm would not be desirable because we may not be able to weld that. What if our welding capacity is limited to 1 mm thickness? Then what we have to do? We have to increase this width. Am I right? Then T becomes a constant for me. That's I cannot go for more than 1 mm. So in that case, to increase the surface area, I have to go for higher width of the bus bar. From the same calculation, you can find out in that. So the bus bar average current density of 5 ampere per mm square, electrical sufficient cooling by natural convection, because you don't want to put a thermal management system for the bus bar. It could lead to quite complex. It would lead to a very complex thermal system design. Now, electrical system should have a minimized voltage drop whenever it is possible, sufficient electrical insulation to prevent accident and mitigation, and should be mechanical rigid. The various joining methods are based upon your design criteria, based upon your requirement. You need to select one of that. Should have highest mechanical strength, minimal contact resistance, and easily weldability. When I say weldability, it could be the screw type also, but then you have to worry about contact resistance. The fourth and last part of this talk is battery management system. Why BMS is important? The most important part of BMS is safety. BMS controls the functioning limit of the pack electrically and thermally, all. That means if my pack is designed for 100 ampere, it will not give you more than 100 ampere. If you are trying to draw more than 100 ampere, the BMS should cut off to prevent the damage in the battery pack. If my temperature is going more than my limit value, let's suppose if I put a limit of 45 degree or 50 degree, it should cut off the pack. It should not give you the current in that case. Critical to the accident prevention, life cycle cost. Now a BMS, if I'm maintaining all the parameters within the right, within the maximum utilization of a battery pack. In that case, my battery pack will give more life compared to others' battery pack. So the BMS helps in optimal operation of the pack, helping to prolong pack life, benefiting in life cycles and cost. Measurement and prediction. How do you do all those things? Unless you don't measure, you cannot do anything. So you need to measure all the things like cell voltage, temperatures, current, all the things you need to measure. Then only you can prevent. Unless you don't measure, you cannot prevent. This is inside the battery pack. Outside, it should be able to say to the driver that now you have only 10 kilometer range left. So you go back and charge the battery. Aid in preconditioning, like if my battery temperature has gone up, or during the idle I don't want to run the thermal management system and I'm about to run it should precondition the temperature to the best performance level of the battery. Pack abuse, in and out warranty. If you are doing something wrong with the battery pack, so my BMS should register all those events so that it can say, yeah, something has gone wrong in that battery pack. You are no more will have a warranty. Now, what a battery pack contains? A battery pack contains a cell module, battery management system, insulation monitoring device, pre-charge circuit, current sensor, service disconnect fuse, balancing circuits, and all those things. And these all are here. If my battery, these are all part of inside the battery pack only, except this pack outlet. Whatever we are showing you here is a part of battery pack itself. So the fuse will go inside battery pack, contactor and pre-charge circuit will go here. Contactors and pre-charge circuit again is positive and negative. There would be additional fuse here. The BMS would be a part of it, and thermal management system can or may not be a part of the battery system. Okay, so what are the BMS application? The BMS application is first of that safe operation in the terms of temperature, voltage, and current. Database, cell parameters, balancing status, input and output request, self-diagnostic, self-test that every function is working properly, system monitor. The pack voltage is this, current is this. These devices are connected. Error handling, if there is anything error is coming, can it check and tell you this is how, or can clear those errors. Integrity check, everything is fine or not. That's what it has to do. This is the core BMS function. What other BMS application? State estimation, what is the state of charge of the battery? What is the state of the health of the battery? Advanced applications like state modeling, prediction estimation, this all happens based upon the measurement. There is a curve you fit inside that, and then you say, okay, now this much kilometers can go. So that is what is the state modulation. Prediction estimation. Now after another 10 cycles, this battery has to go for the service. Now it should also be able to write down all these critical events in the data storage. What are the controls? It should be contactor controls. Contactor control is nothing but to take if current is flowing or not, or it is allowing the current to flow out or not, or in or not. Thermal control. Whenever RPM need to be changed for the compressor, is it functioning that way? Or if there is a flow rate need to be changed. So it is able to control the flow, RPM of the pump or not. What are the things it need to look upon? Cell monitoring, isolation monitoring, several communication way, CAN and serials. So it will have a processor and primary MCU, real-time operating system. It can be converted in two parts, slave and master. So the master would take care of all these things, and the slave part of this will keep on looking for cell pack monitoring, watchdog, recovery from abnormalities, safe operating areas, that's safety side. Then there would be interface devices, serial communication, interlock control, interface devices, etc. And then for redundancy, I may have 2 or more processors which can look upon. Processor is nothing but it's a brain of that whole BMS. The BMS is the brain of battery pack, and the processor is the brain of BMS. So what are the things we sense? Voltage, temperature, current, and isolation sensing. These all four are important for battery pack sensing. There are several things in that. Why it is required for voltage, it is required for SOC and SOH estimation, for protection, measuring using ICs or shunt. Sorry, ICs only. Or temperature. Why it is important? For cell performance, pack performance, safety related issues. And how do we do? Mostly using thermistors. Current, either why it is again required for SOC and SOH algorithm or estimation algorithm. Any abuse condition, unless we don't measure the current, we cannot ensure the safety because of the abuse. How it is being done? How it is being measured? Either using current sensors or Hall effect sensors. Isolation sensing. What I said, when the voltage is high, we need, and if there is a leakage, any leakage, we need to monitor that one. So the all wiring is fully insulated or not, HV battery terminal is not connected, or to any of the GLB system or highly exposed vehicle chassis. This enhances the safety and safety greatly, and also helpful for accident prevention. So how do you build a battery pack? Cell, fuse, and these are all parts of a BMS together. This is Hall sensor here for current sensing, the external port for connecting with the different things, BMS here, the temperature harness, fuse, balancing resistors here. These are all the things. So summary. So a well-designed BMS, this good resolution of measurement at the cell and the pack level, maintain equal SOH in every cell, highest safety level, activity shutdowns in extreme scenarios, predict and warn users of dangerous event, control auxiliary system for efficient pack operation. So with that, I'm ending. I was quite fast during my end slides. If there is any question, you can ask quickly to me. I have another 3 to 4 minutes time for you.
Sir, what about the research area in the battery management system? How to start with?
How do you pronounce your name?
Karkurali, sir.
Karkoili. Okay. Karkoili, see, the area of research in BMS side is mostly on SOH and SOC algorithms. SOC is nothing but a state of the chart, and this has to be predicted because lithium ion cells, it's not a linear curve with the voltage. So a proper algorithm helps a lot in predicting the SOC. The same is the case of SOH also, state of the health. And how can we improve the state of the health? So that two major area in the BMS, I can say.
Sir, what about the optimization techniques, sir? Optimization techniques that are available.
That becomes a part of that becomes a part of analytics.
Okay.
That becomes a part of analytics.
Of the data values of the battery, or?
Yes, so you can always extract these data, and then based upon that you can prepare an algorithm, because this BMS are a smart BMS in the sense there are several communications lines, CAN bus, Modbus, all those things are there. There is a EPROM, so there is a flash memory, so you can store the data. You can put a 4G or 2G module also there, so you can be live. But what you'll do with that data is a backend work.
Okay.
That you develop. That's why we say analytics, where you can use machine learning or artificial intelligence, and then feedback to the battery. That's okay. This is what you need to do. Okay,
algorithms, sir. Any types of algorithms that are available, or we should write our own algorithms?
No, there are several algorithms available. If you can improve those algorithms, that itself is a big research. Or if you can freshly start an algorithm, you can develop a fresh algorithm that would be great.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Anyone, any more questions?
You have my email ID. You can always write down to me in case of anything. Actually, it's a very, very less time. He has, in fact, Anga has offered me 3 hours, but I don't have time to spend 3 hours with you people. So I'm really sorry for that one. Otherwise, minimum 8 to 10 hours we require to understand in slightly slower mode. So maybe certainly what.
Any important algorithms you just specify, sir, 1 or 2?
You need to find out from the research literature.
Okay,
I'm
sir.
really sorry.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, good evening, sir. Dr.
I'm not analytics guy, so you understand that. So
Okay, sir.
Good evening, sir. D.R. Srinivasan from JNT Kalkari, sir.
yeah, Dr. D.R. Srinivasan. How did you
Yes,
go
sir.
to Mizoram?
No, sir. I'm from Andhra Pradesh, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I've got a question regarding overload, sir. Most of the time you are telling about all those things. Very good session it was there. But when we are talking about design, overload conditions are being also taken care, sir. Let us say, as you were telling, so maybe drawing of current or maybe temperature variations is
Mhm.
taken care.
Yeah, we need to take care.
Yeah.
If we don't take care, then a lot of things will go wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I understood. But during design, all these are taken care of, sir.
Yes, it has to be taken care.
So generally, factor of safety, generally what would be the design if you are aware.
In that, we don't put a factor of safety. Factor of safety is being put in the design, in the sense, if my capacity of my thermal see what happens, all the energy what you are taking here is from the battery itself.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So that always you have to keep it in your mind, that whatever the energy you are taking is from the battery itself. So you cannot have very high factor of safety.
Okay, sir.
You cannot do much optimization in that case.
Okay, sir.
You need to be very close to the actual requirement.
Okay.
So anything else, I can you can connect me through email. If you require, I can give you my phone number also. It's a 988-4254-105. Anga is my phone number. You can use to connect me. I'm really sorry, I have to rush for some other meeting. Anga, anything you need to say?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jha. Thank you for your time, for your busy schedule to this.
No, I'm not busy. Unfortunately, I have another. Yeah. Thank you very much, Anga. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So, dear participants, with that we come to the end of today's session. So tomorrow again we are catching up. I have already circulated the much earlier the schedule, and few things I must mention. I don't know how many of you are out here regarding the attendance. The attendance, whatever we have seen, since this is an automatic record, there is no case of any missing out. The attendance is very poor, and even now you can see 59 participants are only there on board, including myself. So please keep this in mind, because I know you are all our faculties. You can understand the scenarios, everything. And tomorrow from 10 a.m. we are starting with the session of Dr. Vishakha Majumdar. Once again, she will deal with stress and time management. Till then, bye everyone. See you tomorrow again at the same time. I have told repeatedly, all sessions, PPT and videos will be shared to you only after the course completion, because I have to collect, I have to assimilate, and I will send you together. Follow your emails. I continuously mail you with all the details. So don't worry, I will share everything with you. Thank you everyone. So tomorrow also again we are meeting, hopefully by the same link. Tomorrow also we are meeting again by 10. Thanks a lot. शाखा